Hello and welcome back to another video of phonetics with Chinese characteristics, the video course that goes through all the difficult points of Chinese pronunciation. In this video, let's take a look at how we can pronounce the J, Q, and X sounds in Chinese. Here's a word that means to rest. Can you try and say it? Yeah, it's 休息. 休息. So really the tricky part is the X. The X is pronounced like 休息, 休息. In this video, let's take a look at how we can properly pronounce the xi sound and the related ji and qi sounds. First, the X or xi sound. This consonant in the International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA, is written like a numeral 6 with a little tail at the bottom. This sound doesn't exist in English, but if you speak Russian, it's very similar to the S with the myakkii znak, like sh, sh. And if you know Korean, it's very similar to shi and the Japanese shi. But if you're an English speaker, you can access the sound this way. First, try and say the S in C. S, S. Then we have to do something with our tongue. The diagram on the right is a cross-section of your speech organs. This part is the tongue. And this part is the roof of the mouth, also known as the hard palate. If you lick your tongue against the top part of your mouth, that harder bony structure is called a hard palate. So what we want to do right now is to push our tongue against that hard palate. Because when we say C, our tongue is at the bottom, C. But if you push the tongue against the hard palate, then it becomes xi, xi, which is very similar to the X sound in Chinese. Xi, xi. Here's some examples. The word to rest is 休息, 休息. If you're getting 休息, just make sure to push the tip of your tongue against the hard palate. So it's not 休息, it's 休息, 休息. Next, the word for downward is 下, 下. And the word for to think is 想, 想. All right, so that is the xi sound. And now let's take a look at the related ji sound. The International Phonetic Alphabet of this consonant is very similar to the one for xi. We just have an additional t at the beginning. And the sound is similar to the Russian j, j. And it's also very similar to the Korean ji. It's also very similar to the French ji or the Japanese ji. To access the sound from English, first say the word Jeep, Jeep. And now we have to do the same thing. We have to push the front part of our tongue toward the hard palate. So Jeep becomes Jeep, 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 Jeep. That's the sound. Here's some examples. The word for how many is 几, 几. And the word for 9 is 九, 九. If you're getting 九, just make sure to push the tip of your tongue against your hard palate. So it's not 九, it's 九, 九. The word for home or family is 家, 家, 家. It's not jia, it's jia, jia. The tip of the tongue needs to be pushing against the hard palate. And finally, the word for to speak is 讲, 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 讲. So here we have the xi and ji sounds. And now let's take a look at the qi sound, which is spelled with the letter Q. Notice what the IPA of the sound is. It's exactly the same as ji, except for a little h at the end. That represents a puff of air. So instead of ji, we have qi, qi. Notice air is coming out, qi. This is very similar to the Russian t, t, as in yes. Also very similar to the Korean t and the French ti, or the Japanese chi. By the way, if you know additional languages that have these sounds, do let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to see what other languages also have these Chinese sounds. To get this sound from English, first say the word cheese. Cheese. Then you have to do the same thing. You have to push the tip of your tongue toward your hard palate. So cheese becomes cheese, cheese. In fact, that's how a lot of Chinese people say cheese. They just say cheese, cheese. Do you have cheese? Here's some examples of the qi sound. The word for bridge is qiao, qiao. The number 7 is qi, qi. The word for to go is qu, qu. And the word for strong is qiang, qiang. qiao, qi, qu, qiang. And that's it for the xi, ji, and qi sounds. To get these sounds correctly, just remember to push the tip of your tongue against your hard palate. Xi, ji, qi. For more information on the pronunciation of these tricky sounds, please see the links in the description of this video.